Good morning, everyone. I'm going to explain to you as best I can how a Sheaffer touchdown pen fills. It sort of fills against the grain. I mean, you don't think it would fill the way it fills, but it fills, quote, on the downstroke rather than on the upstroke. And the touchdown, I mean, think of the name of the touchdown pen. The word down is important. The touchdown pen has a rubber sack on the inside of it. I'll show you here. Inside of this little thing is a rubber sack, and that holds the ink. And to depress the rubber sack, you don't have a lever on the side. You have this clever barrel, and the barrel has a little tube in it, and this tube presses down like that, and the air pressure difference, the air pressure causes the rubber sack to depress. And in order for it to work, you need to have how many pieces of rubber? 3 pieces of rubber that work. The rubber sack, the rubber O-ring, which is right here on the inside, and also a little rubber washer back here. And there's this little tiny indentation right there. And that causes the pressure to equalize once it goes all the way down. See, I've just squirted out dirty water. So again, to fill the pen, you don't ever take it apart like I just did. This should always be screwed together. You only unscrew the back, you pull this back, pull it in the ink, press down, count to 3, and it's full. You would think, like filling a syringe, that it would fill going on the back, pull it back, but that doesn't fill it. It fills on the downstroke. Now, I've made a big mess here, as you can see. That doesn't happen at your house, of course, but you can tell if a pen is working, a touchdown pen is working well, if you see bubbles come up when you press down. You should see bubbles if it's just air. If there's ink in it, you won't see bubbles come up, but it should fill really well. Now, if any of the rubber parts aren't working, you're not going to get the pressure you need. So let me now explain to you. Again, you need the 3 rubber parts. You need the rubber sack, you need the rubber O-ring, and you need the rubber washer. And if the part that normally needs to be, to replace the rubber sack is often needed. So you do that, and it's still not filling right. If you notice that it seems really loose, it means that this rubber sack is probably hardened and decayed, and it needs to be replaced. If you replace it and it still doesn't seem to want to work, it probably means that this little neat thing needs to be replaced. This is the least important part, but this one might need to be replaced. If it's really hard to press down, it may mean that that this needs to be replaced as well. You just might have to really hold the pen really, really tightly to press down. And if you find that it doesn't seem to want to work very well and you don't have time, or you can't figure out how to replace this one right here, adding a little bit of Pen Repairman spit to the tube here, that might give you just the little extra bit of thickness around that thing to cause it to actually work, to actually have that airtight quality that you want. So there's jury-rig ways to get around things. I have one pen. I need to get more of these O-rings, and I need to order them, and I just haven't. I've been lazy about doing it. There's a pen that I really like using, though. It has a nice stub nib on it, and I had a job I needed to do, and I didn't have time to do it, and I just, you know, squeeze the rubber sack like this, fill it up, put it all back together again. It's full, it works, nothing wrong with it. That's in an emergency, though. You can do that if you don't have your O-ring working. But again, this is how it works. So it might be, the action should be really easy. See, I'm just making ink again. I mean, I'm spilling ink. I fill it up with water, and now I forget that I did that. It should be an easy depression like that. It should fill very easily. But if it's tight, or if it's really loose, it's not going to work as easily. If it's really, really tight, it probably still will work. It's just hard to make it happen. So anyway, that's how it works. Touchdown. Normally, of course, you won't make the mess I just made, so pretend that I didn't make that mess. One of the problems with this pen is when you're filling it in an inkwell or an ink bottle, sometimes you can't see whether it's pushing up bubbles. So you may not know that it's not working to the, you know, it won't fill, but you won't, you know, you really want to see the bubbles. That would be nice to know if it's happening. So, you know, you can try it out with a glass of water, just see if it fills. It seems to push out air and pull in water. One of the problems too is if the rubber sack is broken, but the seal is working, and you put it in water and you pull back on it, you're going to end up sucking water into the pen and making everything full of water, and that's not what you want, or full of ink. You need to make sure that the rubber sack is working. So it's an overly complex pen. It doesn't need to be as complex as this is. What was wrong with a lever? The simple machine worked with most people. Anyway, that's how they work. Ta-da! Now look at me. Filthy. And it's not even 7 o'clock.